Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode. We got Felix from Dash in the house. Say hello, Felix.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
And we got our man Sasha in the house from Beam.
Hi, guys.
Say hi, everyone.
I'm excited to be here.
Good to have you here, Sasha. All right, everybody. Today we're going to find out about two very exciting projects coming up in this space. We're going to be talking about DeFi. We're going to be talking about privacy. We're going to talk about network speed, transactions, confidentiality, and some OG projects and some OG people in the space. All right, guys, let's jump into it. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hello, Kyle. How are you doing?
Good, good, good.
What's up?
It's nice to be here in together in Thailand. You know, a lot of the world is going crazy right now, and we're fortunate enough to be able to be here and have this in person. Nice.
Absolutely. I mean, we are all living here, yet we are never seeing each other.
Yeah.
So happy to be here at your island, your little cozy resort.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pangan has this special vibe.
Yeah. Sasha, you've been here quite a few times, right?
Yeah, it's my 5th year in Thailand.
Yeah, and but Pangan, you've been
5th time in Thailand, in Pangan, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I can't escape coming back.
Yeah.
Each and every time.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there who are, very interested in this island now because of what we're doing with House of 𝗏. And so what is it about the island that draws you back time and time again?
This island has several faces. It knows how to combine business and pleasure and development in both spiritual and business realms. So I think it's kind of perfect cake, and everyone can mix his perfect cocktail in perfect proportions, make it totally personalized.
Thank you. And Felix, I heard when we went to dinner the other night, you told me that you were leaving on today, but rumor has it that you got the Pangan glue also. I guess
that was traveling fast, I rumor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, it's what we met, and now we met like even more and more blockchain people. I was expect a few, and more came up. So it's it's good to be here. There's nowhere to travel right now anywhere in the world. So
yeah,
I think there's a couple of spots for digital nomads in Thailand, in fact, which is definitely Bangkok. Obviously, it's the most probably the biggest one. I mean, it's just because of the size of the city. There's Chiang Mai, and it's here. And I mean, as it seems, many people just were stuck here or are still stuck for like half a year. Not everybody wants to stay, and there's a lot of digital nomads, so a lot of good vibes, good business going on here.
Yeah, it's also kind of cultural melting pot. So it's really people from all kinds of directions can come together and discuss anything from spirituality to cultural differences to business, and it facilitates a lot of great business initiatives.
Yeah,
absolutely. Plus, I mean, Thailand is a great space, I mean, we are very, as you said, we are very lucky. It's COVID. Everybody is like, I wouldn't say suffering, but everybody's stuck where they are. So we are stuck in a very good place, and people doing business. It rather seems for everybody in the blockchain space that everybody's working even more now, and it's really 24/7. Because you can't even chill out in the plane for traveling somewhere. No. You're just on the computer working, so that's okay.
Yeah, and I've been reading recently that that Thailand really has no plans to open the borders, unfortunately, until next year. And they said even Chinese New Year in February would be a optimistic timeline.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I first when Corona first kind of came out, and as soon as I started seeing borders locking down, I just canceled my entire travel plans for the entire year. I mean, I'm sure that you guys both travel quite a bit. I know you do, Felix, and you do as well, I'm sure. Yeah, Sasha? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a permanent traveler.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should slow down a bit.
Yeah. Well, I guess you kind of have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I found a safe harbor in Lanta before coming to Pangan.
In Koh Lanta, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into our projects and what everyone wants to hear about. So, so we were just talking before we started doing this. It looks like the markets are heating up tremendously, and although Dash and Beam are completely different projects, there are some similarities, and I really want to give everybody who's listening a first-hand kind of insight to what's going on and why they should be excited about things that are bubbling in Beam and Dash. So if you guys would just give like a quick, each one of you, just a quick, I mean, Dash has been around for a very long time. And I used to have a master node and have quite a bit of Dash myself still. And I'm dying to know what's going on with Dash and what we can expect and why people should get excited about it again, from adoption to developments and things like that. And 𝗪cie, Beam is relatively new to me. I of course heard about Beam and Grin when everyone else heard about 𝗪𝗵𝘁, and but other than just kind of what I have read in the past 12 hours preparing for this, I really haven't learned much about it. So, why don't 𝗪cie, you go ahead and start and just tell us a little bit about Beam, and then Felix, you can tell us about Dash, and then we'll get into kind of the developments of what's going on.
Yeah, thanks for that. So Beam started as a scalable, confidential cryptocurrency based on 𝗪𝗵𝘁 protocol. The mainnet was launched on January 3rd, 2019, and following a few hard forks, we've reached the final consensus algorithm, and we were looking for the next big steps for Beam, and after making a great confidential cryptocurrency, the obvious next step, at least for us, was confidential DeFi. And this is the direction that we are currently pursuing. So imagine all the benefits of confidential cryptocurrency transferred into a confidential, decentralized finance ecosystem.
Yeah. Now, when you say confidential, you mean basically privacy protecting and like obfuscated kinds of transactions, right? So like privacy focused.
Yeah, it's a privacy coin. 𝗪𝗵𝘁 started as a privacy protocol, and currently we are also enriching the privacy side with Lilantus. Lilantus adapted to 𝗪𝗵𝘁. Lilantus was a protocol originally developed for Zcoin, and we did our own adaptation. Władysław Gelfer, our lead developer, takes the full responsibility, and it basically it's similar to a coin jar principle, if it sounds familiar.
Yep.
Yeah. So we will have an additional level of privacy protecting the transactions graph.
Yeah. What I'm curious about is you guys are on a lot of different exchanges.
Right.
Yeah. But I guess looking through the list of exchanges here, I've noticed that there's not any. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no U.S.-based exchanges. Is that correct?
So basically, we don't pay for listings, and some exchanges we were actively contacting, and the other exchanges just listed us without asking. So it's a natural process.
The direction I'm heading here is that there's a lot of discussions, and I think Felix, you guys experienced this with Dash. A lot of the more regulated exchanges are hesitant to list privacy coins. So Monero is facing challenges. I think, Felix, you guys, why don't you tell me, Felix, what you guys have gone through when it comes, like, have you had exchanges come back to you guys and say, listen, if you want to stay listed here, you need to, remove the privacy send feature?
We started kind of as a privacy coin, which got us a reputation that it's kind of hard to get rid of, right? The truth is actually with Dash something else, right? We have the privacy private send feature as a standard feature in the core wallet, which is one of a couple of wallets, right? Because the mobile wallet, for example, doesn't even have it. Plus, Dash is not like 𝗪𝗵𝘁 on it's a different privacy feature, which is essentially a mixer that you would use with Bitcoin or with whatever.
Yeah.
So only that this mixer is like available with the press of a button in the wallet. Actually, that makes Dash the private option, right? Which does not make us a privacy coin, and this is very much a kind of a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
We are actively going out to clarify that because, of course, we we want to scale large, we want to be a payment coin all over the world. So for us, it's super important to work and cooperate with governments to be compliant. For me, it's rather a headache to always fight against the privacy than having people who understand that every coin can use a mixer, right? In fact, there was a discussion last year with some governments, for example, Korea. We got some news out there that exchanges wanted to delist us, which actually didn't happen because we reached out then to them and explained it, and also explained it to the regulators.
Yeah. So the private send on Dash is really just a wallet feature, right?
Exactly.
It's not a core protocol feature or anything like that. It's just it's a top layer kind of feature that you guys added in.
Yeah, if you talk about privacy, there's different narratives you can take, right? What I want to say is you can take the technical narrative to have different kinds of privacy features, and again, a mixer can be used with any coin, right? And if you go with that logic as a regulator, that means if you not allow Dash to be listed at any exchange in your country, you have to delist Bitcoin as well, right? Because this would be the technicality.
Well, privacy is basically privacy is has many ways to interpret it, but at the end of the day, privacy is the basic human right. It's not about hiding something that you are doing wrong. It's like, I just imagine that, for example, on Ethereum, every morning you are paying for your coffee with Ethereum or Dash, and then by knowing your address, I can understand that you are spending ERC20 tokens every 9 a.m. It's not necessarily you are doing anything wrong, but you wouldn't like to share that fact with everyone. So we perceive privacy as a basic human right, and on the route of compliance with government, with all kinds of regulations, BEAM is also planning to implement opt-in auditability so that business wallets or compliant wallets will be able to issue a special key to share it with a regulator or accountant, and that key would allow seeing the entire list of transactions.
Okay.
So I mean, we don't see a contradiction between privacy and regulation.
Cool, thank you. So let's. So Felix, I think Dash probably needs no introduction. However, there are lots of new people that are just getting into the space again. In 2017, we saw a massive rush of newbies into the space who were buying up every shitcoin they could possibly imagine, and we're starting to see that again right now. I mean, we're seeing things like Taco Coin and Yam and these kind of cool projects getting listed, and people are just buying into them without any team, without any type of white paper or any type of anything. So there are people out there that aren't really aware what Dash is. Can you just give us kind of a high-level overview of what Dash is?
Yeah, hello. I'm Felix, co-founder of Dash Next and several other projects within Dash. What we basically do for Dash is the business operations. We do business development, onboard partners on a global scale. Obviously, we are located in Asia, so as everybody's very well aware, blockchain is very much about networks and about local networks and people So it's like obviously many things happened with us being in Asia, going around. But and we already mentioned that in normal times we are traveling a lot. But Dash as a whole, is a completely decentralized organization. I think Dash is really, as you said, an OG in the space. We launched 2014 as a fork of Bitcoin with a coin that has a very simple use case, which is payment. But payment with everything, right? And the way I see it, if you want to do payment, you have to do a lot of things. On the one side, there's many industries. This is one big vertical, you want to be everywhere, and obviously payment is everywhere. So everything is kind of relevant to become a Dash use case. And in fact, we have onboarded so many different industries in the last couple of years, from tourism, gaming, gambling, retail, marijuana in the States, CBD coming up, it's like everything you can basically imagine is kind of onboarded on different scales. I personally took a lot of effort to onboard travel platforms. So we have like over 4 million hotels in the Dash network on several platforms. We have a lot of big online retail stores. We just have a partnership in Mexico to launch over 1 million debit cards. There was a big cooperation with esports. This is like a very interesting market to go into because, obviously, there's young people who are rather who know about crypto already, right? We don't have to explain it to them. They're gamers. They know how to use that stuff. So there's a very interesting target group for us. But it's not only this vertical in terms of industries. If you want to do payment, you also have to integrate on other verticals, which means you have to have fiat exits. You have to work with payment providers, gateways, like everybody who is in the payment space, right? And as it happens, it's really a young industry. So everybody you talk to never did it before, never did cooperate with any cryptocurrencies. So kind of most of the stuff we do is kind of pioneering partnerships, that haven't been done before. And the way I see it, the moment you have one use case and you create one use case, it becomes very clear that we can provide value in terms of speed, in terms of transaction fees, like many things that kind of bother everybody in the payment space. And this is where Dash is going, and there's many things coming out now with Dash. On the protocol side, there's evolution coming up. So we're going to have usernames very soon. It's like even more accessible for everybody, more easy to use. Send Dash with, a name as you are used to with your PayPal account or something. This is one thing. On the other side, I just mentioned, like we have lots of cool partnerships coming up. The one in Mexico just launched.
Before you go into that, because I do have some questions about adoption, but I want to know, for those who are unclear, can you explain more about evolution? Because I know it's been something that has been worked on for a long time. And so just I'd like to know what is evolution and what's the ETA for it?
Mm-hmm. The ETA is end of the year. Actually, it was already a long time ago, but it got pushed back more and more often. But now it's really on a good way to be there end of the year. So it's the first big protocol upgrade, let's say. And as I said, there are some main features changing, such as using usernames. So the vision always was making Dash more accessible to normal people who don't care too much about blockchain, about technology, who just want to use Dash as a payment coin, to make it more easy, to have more wallet integrations, to buy it within the wallet. And I mean, as you can imagine, being an old coin, you have to upgrade yourself, because there's new projects coming out with also cool features, so we want to keep up, right? And this is what I'm saying. One is having more options for buying and selling Dash, right? Like as a tool of spending for burgers, for whatever, for travel, for whatever you need in your daily life. The second thing is to have it interesting on a technical level. One other thing Dash has implemented. The second thing is on a technical level, and the third thing is be interesting with trading. So also there we have launched. We have a feature called Instant Send, which makes Dash available. You can send it. You get a final confirmation after 1 second. You don't have to wait for X block confirmations. You receive your money. You can respend it, which obviously makes it a very interesting case for trading, right? And now I'm looking very much into building DeFi bridges. So we're talking with some guys about Wrap Dash to become also part of that new DeFi movement. But on the technical side, let me add one more thing, because I think Dash is really top notch still on the protocol level with things like chain locks implemented, right? So we have Dash has a masternode network, which is essentially a second layer on top of the miners, right? You have the security with the miners, you have the security with the masternodes, and if anyone wants to attack Dash, they not only have to take 51% of the miners, as in other blockchains, they would also have to hijack the masternode network, which obviously makes it exponentially more secure and exponentially more expensive to attack the network, right? So we are still, I believe, top notch in terms of security of any blockchain.
It's actually really important to hear, and I think a lot of people don't know. A lot of people do know about the proof of stake mechanism in Dash, but a lot of people forget that there is also the underlying proof of work layer as well, right?
It's actually not proof of stake, it's proof of service.
Proof of service.
Yeah, there's proof of work for the miners, and there's proof of service for the masternodes.
Okay, but they're still locking it up there for securing the network and receiving network fees for it, right?
Exactly.
So Felix, I want to get back to evolution, because all I've heard is that it's going to allow, which is an incredibly important feature, allowing somebody to send crypto without having to type in that long, complicated, alphanumeric address. So that's great. But it didn't take Dash years to build that feature alone, right? So what else does evolution do?
I think the main feature is going to be decentralized applications. data applications coming. It's not decentralized applications, data applications coming to the network. So basically, you're finally going to have a programmable layer on the Dash blockchain, which is obviously, as we are a payment coin, the main purpose is definitely to program anything payment related. So automated payroll solutions or bookkeeping solutions or whatever whatever you need. A little glimpse of
just move your mic closer to. No, you can just move it closer. Just pull it back toward you. There you go.
A little glimpse of what is happening. You can check out. We have done a cooperation with 𝗨𝗁, a blockchain Intel company, with having now smart triggers for anything that you have on a Dash network. So if you're a merchant, you receive a transaction. You can program yourself a smart trigger that this and this happens, and that the data is going this and that way in your books, or on your telephone, that you got that you are the owner of a restaurant, you got a Dash payment, something like that. So there will be a lot more features you can do finally on Dash. And honestly, I'm very happy that this is happening now, because again, blockchain is not standing still. There's other projects coming up, so you have to keep up with that.
Yeah, I think so. It's not necessarily smart contracts, but more programmable money, where we're going to be able to do things that we're used to being able to do in the traditional financial world when we send payments, but we haven't been able to do that in the crypto world yet, like reoccurring payments. How about As
I understand it, the way data contracts work is not. I mean, smart contracts have to be on chain, right? So you have to do it you have to interact with the chain, and data contracts allow you to program something that runs in a different way.
Okay, but I'm talking about what's interesting here is going to be for the everyday users. What do they care about? So am I going to be able to how about things like is there going to be any type of merchant recall or refund for these kinds of things, like this because I think one of the things that makes blockchain and crypto great, but maybe is a problem for let's say for customers or something, sometimes when if they send money to somebody and they don't send them a service, where they have no recourse, So is there anything like that happening in Dash, where you have some type of ability to recall a transaction or have some type of arbitrage, or like there's certain things when it comes to intermediaries or third parties that some people like, and like, for example, with a credit card, if I spend money somewhere and that merchant doesn't fulfill what their job was, that could be a refund granted by the credit card company, And I saw somebody else doing something like this. I'm wondering if Dash is doing anything like that, or what kind of other. You said reoccurring payments, payroll, things like that. That's amazing, and all of these different ideas of programmable money just come to mind. So I'm wondering what.
I love that idea, and shout it out to everybody who's listening. Get it done,
Yeah.
Because we provide the solution, and now we hope that many people are going to build on it, right? The point is, and that's why I think Dash lost a bit of an edge compared to other cryptocurrencies, is that we didn't engage enough a dev community to say, hey, here are the tools. Do something cool with it, do a business model with it, right?
Yeah.
The way I see it now, evolution is coming out, and this is one part of the strategy. We just had a big conversation with, and probably going to launch an announcement in the next days with a hackathon in the Philippines, right?
Nice.
To engage more people, because at the end of the day, you want to build something that other people can earn money, and you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, the customer decides, right? And honestly, also a customer doesn't care, if you have this and this feature, a customer just wants to get it done.
Yeah.
And just a customer doesn't want to have risk. And also, this is why I said before, we always provide end-to-end solutions for merchants and customers to, if they want, they can deal with fiat money, right? They don't have to deal with any crypto volatility. So from the customer angle, I absolutely agree with you. But it's, we want to provide the tools, and we want to involve other companies, people, devs, community members to engage and to do something and to show us what is possible there.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. So really, like your call out would be this is an opportunity for developers to take advantage of the evolution evolution upgrade that's being rolled out, and it allows them to do different things with the Dash core currency, as far as ways to make better payments.
Exactly. And one more important thing to add, is like, now we're in a phase where DeFi is exploding, and I just did a transaction yesterday, right? And suddenly my wallet showed me like $100 for one transaction on Ethereum. Obviously, that's a problem that has to be solved, and with Dash it doesn't have to be solved, because it's already solved, right? It will always be less than a cent. doesn't matter what you do, right? This shouldn't be an issue. So there's a lot of transactions possible, and if people use it, I think there is an edge over it, and this is why I just mentioned also, the way I see it, we should get fast into DeFi with having bridges there, because at the end of the day you can do also cool stuff with with interacting with other protocols, and I mean there's a lot of cool program stuff coming up in terms of programmable money and what people can do with their finances.
What is the threshold for the capacity of Dash Network? If you said that the fees will always be less than a penny. What would happen if someone built some crazy DeFi apps on top of Dash or something, or some new, or let's say that you guys became adopted and you started processing? Could you handle 30, 40, 50,000 transactions per second?
That's a good question. My understanding is that we can do a lot with the Mastodon network, but I would have to reconfirm the specs, the technical details on that.
Cool. All right, Sasha. So tell us a bit about. I know that you said that Beam is focused right now on this second half of 2020, moving into DeFi.
Right.
Tell us a little bit of the plans about what you guys got cooking in the kitchen.
Well, so basically some of the instruments have like atomic swaps with Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Quantum had already been implemented. So and they are an integral part of our wallet, of the Beam wallet. They work out of the box, and we just integrated the SegWit part, which made the atomic swap, much cheaper. But basically, as the entire financial world is heading towards DeFi, and we, as Beam also controls the layer 1 of the blockchain, it makes sense to bring the confidential ingredient into the DeFi realm. And basically, we have a lot of initiatives going on. We had a community call 2 days ago with Alex Romanov, our CTO, technical lead, and then we were discussing all kinds of initiatives that will happen in the next 6 months, and that not only includes additional coins such as Dash added to atomic swaps, but it's basically having all the essential ingredients for the DeFi applications, which means oracles, sidechains, exploring different protocols. It would be obviously bridges and wrapped assets. It would be confidential assets that are already released, but they will find their way to the desktop wallet very soon. And then we will support different kinds of assets, such as non-fungible assets, algorithmic stable coins. And finally, you cannot mention the DeFi world today without saying something which is smart contract-like-ish thing. So our perception is not to create a holistic programming language, but rather a domain-specific language that will support every possible or nearly every possible financial application. So just envision the high-level primitives that enable different kinds of financial instruments. It's almost like a no-code approach brought on top of a confidential coin blockchain. So it means that creating new financial instruments would presumably be fairly simple. And of course, the entire line of the great UX apps that will support it.
And so when you mean creating some sort of financial instrument will be fairly simple, you're talking about other developers and things like that being able to build DeFi types of applications on top of the Beam ecosystem?
That's correct. I think we will start by showing the leadership by example.
Yep.
And we already started to create additional resources to invite more and more developers. We've implemented, for example, we've implemented a wallet service that allows much easier integrations with third-party wallets. It's already live on testnet, and we will have a special page that elaborates on all our APIs that can be used. And we already have few tasks on our GitHub that actually invites developers to resolve this task and get some commission. So later on we plan to invite more and more developers, maybe do hackathons and open the entire platform for everyone.
Have you guys started focusing on partnerships with to kind of bring everything together? I think one of the things that's very important in this space is looking at different partnerships that each project has, and that helps with ecosystem development, helps with getting the project out to more people. I know that you guys have talked about a partnership, 𝗏 and Beam as well. Have you started looking to other partnerships, or can you tell us about some of your significant partnerships?
So I think it's a little bit early to announce, but we are certainly in the talks with a few more projects beyond 𝗏, and I think that with 𝗏 we basically the atomic swaps with 𝗏 are almost ready, so we are like a few months or maybe shorter time to roll it out to production. And with the other projects, it's a little further down the timeline, so I would reveal it when the time comes.
Okay, thanks. Felix, one of the things that I'm curious about as a 𝗏 holder myself and a supporter for a long time, can you tell us a little bit about traction? I mean, I know that before you talked about these different types of niche markets or whatever, these travel, weed, these different types of things that you're addressing. I know that you guys have a pretty big presence in Latin America as well. Have you guys been measuring metrics to see kind of like how much the 𝗏 network has been used, and are we seeing increase in usage of 𝗏 network? Like, is it growing? Are we seeing adoption, and is adoption something that is it's continuing to grow, like month after month, year after year?
I would have to search the stats, but yes, I've just read from Ryan, the CEO of 𝗏 Core Group, that usage has been going up constantly, like by serious more than 100% for 𝗏 spendings, because again the main use case is spending it for daily activities. We want to be the digital cash in the world.
Yeah.
So this metrics has been going up. But of course, on the other side, we are a decentralized project, right? We are not the guys who are tracking our users. Plus, the main usage on 𝗏 doesn't happen on the core 𝗏 wallet. It's one of many, but we are in fact super lucky that we are integrated on most of the exchanges around the world, and that we are integrated in most of the multi-coin wallets out there, right? So obviously we don't have that data, and we are not tracking that data. But what I can see from like how many times 𝗏 is transferred from A to B, that number is going up massively. And if you look at the market volume, the 24-hour trading volume, 𝗏 is always one of the top projects out there. I mean, we still the top 25 something as of now. And if you look at the trading volume, it always has been high, and it's continued to be so. So 𝗏 is a very liquid asset, which I think confirms that use case I'm describing here.
Yeah, I think so. First, Rupert. First, let me tell me why somebody would want to use 𝗏 over Bitcoin, for example.
I don't know if it has to be this or that, right? But
I mean, for making payments. Yeah.
I mean, it's faster. It's way more cheap. I mean, with Bitcoin, you will pay like $3 to $20 transaction fee, and you will have to wait something between 10 to 60 minutes. Probably 10 is very optimistic. With 𝗏, again, the instant send feature is standard. So if I send you 𝗏 from any wallet who has integrated that feature, and again, it's most of them because we are actively promoting it and helping the people to integrate it. It's very simple to do so, in fact. If I send you 𝗏 with that instant send feature, it will arrive in 2 seconds, and you are immediately able to respend it. You don't have to wait for another confirmation. So that makes it for payments definitely, a very interesting thing. And I mean, we we started off, or we kicked off everything here in Asia by really doing grassroots, talking to merchants, going to restaurants, explaining them. And I mean, the truth is, most people out of our little beautiful blockchain bubble don't know anything about blockchain, don't know anything about Bitcoin. They're mainly scared. They're scared that they're losing money, either because of security or because the price volatility. And they're very scared to, nobody knows how to use a private key. And honestly, they don't care. Most of the merchants are not able, they even struggle to keep a password and know which email address they use for registration. So we are dealing with other problems, right? So what I've realized is give people like easy solutions. And, I think that's what we have done with many of our partners.
Yeah. And merchants just want to not have to pay that 2 to 5% credit card processing fee that they normally do when they take a credit card or Visa or MasterCard. So I think
in Asia, they don't do it anyway, right? It depends where you are in the world. That's why you always have different use cases. But try to spend the credit card in Bangkok. Try to do it here on the island. It's close to impossible, right?
Yeah.
Like no, only cash or QR code is like kind of the standard, right?
Right.
You can, in Thailand specifically, right? You can basically pay everywhere you go with the bank transfer because the banks work so perfectly that if I transfer you money from my bank account to yours, it's also there in a second, right? And I can immediately reuse it. It's feeless, This is why, every store you go here in Thailand and even most of Asia will have like a kind of a sticker wall of QR codes with 40 QR codes at the door, right? So the way I approach it again is like saying, hey, one more doesn't matter. Just take another dash code, and in return, what I do and other companies that work with you here don't do is I give you free marketing. I open all my marketing channels for you. If you have like a food promotion, post it in our group, you will have immediately a reach of X thousand people, to see that stuff, right? So if you're in Bangkok, you're a merchant, you have a value proposition. And other companies would even charge you for that, right? Look at Foodpanda, Grab. They will charge you 30% if somebody orders via their app, right? And
for sure,
of course, it's for marketing, it's for outreach, it's for selling more at the end of the day. So I give you a free channel, you get it. You just have to get a QR code, and even I come and install you the wallet.
Nice. So they even get a personal visit from Felix himself.
But we have a team too who's doing that. But I did it, because again, it's important that, everybody's talking about blockchain and we have to do it. It's a completely different story. Again, if you sit in front of a business owner, like a mama noodle shop here in Thailand, right? Like let's say a 40 to 60-year-old person who runs like a shop, you learn a lot from the questions. And this is why I said 90%, from 10 people, 9% really you saw the fear in their eyes using anything they were not familiar with, right? And the second biggest fear is, do they have to pay anything for it? Because if you run a shop, payment is expensive. You have to get a terminal, you have to get a cashier system, whatever it is, right? And these things run out after a couple of years. You have to reinvest, and obviously that's something you don't want to pay because it's just a cost an evil cost for your business that actually you don't want to have.
How about there's a third concern is one of the reasons that people are concerned about taking like Bitcoin or Ethereum. This is volatility. So if a lot of people run on very tight margins or budgets, so what has Dash done to address whenever a merchant is concerned about volatility?
Yeah, this is what I meant before when I said end-to-end solutions. In every country, we have partners, right? Or some partners who can serve multiple countries. But what I do is always offer an option to say, hey, I'm happy if you want to take Dash. It's cool because I believe in it, and I believe obviously in the value going up because we're an awesome project, blah blah blah. But I understand you have to run a business, so honestly, to be safe, use one of these solutions. We plug it in. So I'm a customer. I give you a QR code for the merchant. So the merchant, if a customer comes, they show them a QR code. Customer pays, and then the money can go either to a wallet and stay in Dash, or we put something in the middle which can convert it to the fiat currency of your choice. And this is usually done for something between 0.5 to 1%. So you get the rate locked in immediately on your bank account.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Sasha, tell me, is the major purpose of Beam would you consider yourself a competitor of Dash? seems like the use case is fairly the same. I mean, what can you tell me what Beam aims to achieve? It's like its ultimate goal of being a project.
Well, Beam started as a store of value coin, and this is where we aim to finish the Trezor wallet custom firmware, which allows to complete this kind of circle. But Beam also was, we also have on our website a page which is called Beam Accepted Here, right? And where lots of merchants can receive Beam, which actually turns Beam into a nice confidential means of exchange. And so we've invested heavily in the UX perspective by, I mean, as a product lead of Beam and head of product before the governance to foundation shifted, governance shifted to foundation. Our motto, or my motto, is that let every granny to use the wallet when her nephew is beside her. So we really heavily invested in usability by simplifying our wallets and making them speak to a simple regular user. Someone who basically opens our wallets, he won't see Dandelion or Mimblewimble or Lilantus or all kinds of atomic swaps. We've removed that kind of vocabulary completely, and we try to communicate in very simple terms like transaction payment, transaction fee, and so on. So the next step for this is what we already have now, and basically whenever we enrich Beam with some technical innovation, it's still communicated in a very, very simple terms to ease in the onboarding. So we say that it was store of value. It's also a perfect means of exchange, and now we are basically heading into DeFi. Into the DeFi space, like for the first, I've mentioned the atomic swaps, but the complementary part that's worth mentioning as well is that we've just released confidential assets. And the assets which are on top of Beam, basically from the blockchain perspective, they are very similar UTXO, just of a slightly different type. So what was called as atomic swaps, like Beam with Bitcoin, will work super fast, and it's actually not a swap. It's just a very fast transaction with Beam. So you can issue a token on top of, or as we say, confidential assets on top of a Beam blockchain that will allow your users to pay for some premium content. And with a single transaction, you will be able both to trade it for Beam and do it in our wallet. So whoever installs the wallet will be able to manage all the confidential assets and trade them for Beam. So that would be one of the first steps that are going to be implemented like in a few months from now on. And from there we will, as I mentioned before, we will just follow the implementation of financial instruments and oracles and sidechains. Or, for example, maybe we want to explore different protocols, or we want to explore proof of stakes, and for that we won't necessarily want to do it on the main blockchain, but the integration with the sidechain will be very smooth and simple since we control the layer 1 of the Beam blockchain. So that would be one of the ingredients for the next step. And of course the building blocks for financial instruments.
Gotcha. Cool.
So as we've mentioned, sidechains and oracles, bridges are the last but not least to be mentioned. So imagine there are bridges from Ethereum that basically allows to lock every asset on the original blockchain and then create its perfect sibling or a wrapped asset on the Beam blockchain, and that would and that asset could be confidentially transferred and traded. So think about this kind of opportunity turning basically every asset into a confidential asset.
Yeah, I was just reading about that earlier before, and that's incredibly interesting. And I think one of the things that I really think is people don't really right now kind of appreciate, I think, as much as they will in the future, their right to privacy. But I think especially with what's been happening with Corona and these kinds of things, as we're talking about contract tracing, and now in Thailand, I guess in Bangkok, everywhere you go, you have to scan your QR code everywhere you go, and then especially when we start talking about central bank digital currencies and things like this, and private permission blockchains.
Right.
And we start turning into things like China, where if you get a parking ticket or crossing the sidewalk without permission or whatever, then they're going to start taking things out of your. So I think people don't yet appreciate the need for financial privacy. However, this is why I'm really bullish on things like Monero, and when I was really excited when 𝗪𝗏 came out, and therefore your project Beam.
Right.
And I think that people don't really see what's coming yet. However, they're starting to see what's coming. And this is why I think that people are losing a lot of faith right now. I mean, we're starting to see that the world is pretty crazy right now, and we don't see it too much here in Thailand. We're like, knock on wood, we have a COVID-free country, and but we're still going to feel the effects with the fact that we're not opening borders, and there's going to be economic poverty and all kinds of things like this. What we start to see is different countries ramping up police state-like environments, and this is what people are going to be getting a real good taste of, what it's like to live in a total police state. I mean, I've been watching videos recently of things going on in Australia, which are mind-blowing. You have just people getting tackled to the ground for not wearing a face mask walking down the street, and then we have this, just presidents and everything else talking about vaccinations and how they're, I wouldn't be surprised if they were mandatory for people. And, if you didn't get them, then you were a threat to society. And, and we have all the countries coming in full force with central bank digital currencies. And that is I've always been talking about on this channel that is a very dystopian type of perspective, where everything that you do is no longer private. With cash, we have privacy, with credit cards, not so much, but, with cash, there's privacy, but I think that we will start to see cash go away. There's this message now that cash is dirty, and whatever. I mean, people have been sniffing cocaine up their nose with cash since the 40s or 50s or whatever. It's been fine enough, and but it's really the hidden agenda of what I think is what's really going on. It's the ultimate control over us is really to control our finances and our ability to kind of, I think long gone are the days with cash under the bed for a rainy day. And so this is why I think that privacy and open public blockchains and immutable blockchains and censorship-resistant protocols and things like that are incredibly important.
If I may add one thing
that
is often overlooked, we are the first running DAO in the world, even before there was the word DAO, right? But what it essentially means, we are a completely open organization without any hierarchy, right? Any organization will be like this. There's a boss, and then there's one or a few jobs, and the more down you go on the salary and power level, the more jobs and the less salary and blah, blah, blah you have, right? And always when you want to be part of that organization, what you usually do is you write your CV, you write a nice letter, right? You send it to somebody in larger corporations. This would be an HR department where, somebody anonymous is reading you. Mostly you will never get a feedback. And let's say you apply for an American company and you write that application from Europe, your chance will be probably not much, right? If you write it from Africa or from China or whatever, your chances already almost to zero to get any of those jobs, right? We are a completely open organization, and we completely turned around, what was there before. Dash works in a way that, we are producing blocks. Every block has a reward, and part of that reward is put aside into a budget that is given away to projects who apply every single month, right? So as we, other, or everybody in the world can do it, right? You have to pitch an idea to an open, completely open network. There is money available. You can ask for that money, and there can be a research grant, it can be a job, it can be a marketing proposal, it can be a technical development for a product, a solution, whatever it is, right? It depends, what you want. And there's also not Dash. There's also different blockchain. But I think we showcased that this is possible for 6 years to run a complete organization with hundreds of millions of market cap and that kind of crazy new organization model. And to be fair, nobody ever outside of blockchain, few people know what Bitcoin is and how it works. Very few people have heard what a DAO is, and that these pods are available. And now coming to a situation where suddenly everything digital is rapidly increasing out of obvious reasons suddenly, and I'm also happy to see there's a big move in digitization all over the world, and suddenly you see it's possible to not go to an office and still get your job done, right? Suddenly like, haha, surprise, right?
Yeah.
But now we have like a massive shift, a massive acceleration of that, and I think these organizational models are really showcasing the way into the future. And I can only invite everybody, especially being hit from the crisis, look deeper into that. As I see it, I think I saw around 50 to 100 DAOs already in the last 3 months popping up, right? Yeah. And there's different kinds of DAOs. Some of them are really machine only. The optimal scenario is to create an organization that is completely predefined in code. It runs by itself, but the truth is most are kind of hybrid models where there is interactions with protocols, machines, people, stuff that can be done on different levels. So very interesting to see that.
Well, I think that the world actually evolves, but the essential primitives.
Hold on 1 second. It's for some reason it's getting. Oh, that's because this one's almost out of battery. Let's wrap it up soon.
Is it for your headphones?
Maybe because I'm talking too much.
Maybe you don't need headphones.
No, it's this. I think it's the battery. It happened to me last time I was using this today.
This is
okay.
Which unit is that?
Okay, so
cool.
So tell me about what you were saying. Yeah.
So I think that the world is evolving, but the essential components still remain. So they change shape, but they will always be there. So there was kind of private confidential transactions, and they will stay in the modern world. They will just shapeshift into something else. And the financial instruments will also shapeshift into something else. So it's very exciting to see the transformation of the old school system into the new world. And 2020 is like no other year can basically help the new approach to surface.
Yeah, you mentioned a good point, and this is exactly what sometimes is a bit overlooked in crypto. I mean, being part of this, we're so hyped what we do, and there's so many things that always like, wow, it's like you always have this moment in blockchain, it's like, wow, this is amazing, this will revolutionize everything, right? Overlooking that stuff is already working, and like for many years, cash is working, even it's dirty, the banking system is working, even though it's
dirty.
What I'm saying is, probably it is, right? But point is, things are not just going away simply because we now have Bitcoin or something, but we have an additional option, right? And the more people who understand some of those features, the more it can grow, and it doesn't have to be a complete substitute. It's okay if we have alternatives running parallel to each other. I feel the world is getting very complex, and even the way you can structure businesses, you can do stuff with blockchain or interact with blockchain, non-blockchain, old school protocols, it's like it's getting more and more complex. It's not like one is just taking over the world.
Yeah. Basically, Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, they are helping the world to evolve by stimulating the competition. So, for example, lots of benefits like people owning their own money, they don't contradict, some jobs that was done by the bank or is being done by the banks, like giving mortgages to the people on something, these financial tools will just become smarter. And then the banks will need to join the competition and provide competitive products. So personally, I'm very excited to see what's coming on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm personally very unexcited now to see in 2020 all big banks announcing, wow, now we finally can do blockchain custody and stuff. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay that they do it, and I'm kind of happy in terms of mass adoption because again, it will, you know, show it to more people. But for us on the technical side, it's like,
it doesn't.
It's so old news.
It's the anti-crypto. It defeats the message of be your own bank, right? People, but I think with that being said, it is important to allow people who aren't comfortable on a technical level to be able to start getting involved. And I think it's I used to be of the kind of firm believer that, you know, we wouldn't need as much of a bridge as we actually do, but we actually do need this bridge. And you know, it's really just going to help with, you know, the whole idea of blockchain and crypto and tokens are incentivization. And the one thing that we see time and time again is what incentivizes people the most to look into this industry is the opportunity to kind of participate in something where we're having a massive transfer of wealth, you know, from every other asset in the world into our industry, and people are incentivized by value appreciation of the assets that they're getting into. So one thing that we're seeing now is we're seeing, you know, these huge announcements of these companies like Grayscale and MicroStrategy and these all these other companies that are buying up now as a reserve Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency, and also banks offering as custody and services, which means all these banks will then hold it as reserve, which means it's locking up supply, which means that we're gonna have less supply, more demand, which will increase price, which will drive more and more people into it. Like, it's crazy, actually. You know, with banks realizing that they don't really have much of an option, they need to start offering this because this is what is demanding. They're slowly. They don't have an option but to kind of comply but to kind of give in to supporting this. They'd rather see it just go away and die, right? Because they love what they have been able to be in control forever, but that's not the case. It's not going anywhere. And so they're trying to adapt, but in doing so, they're enabling it to survive even more, which is enabling them to be less and less powerful, less and less useful. And so I think as people, you know, it's going to take probably, you know, one generation, maybe 10 years before everybody that's, you know, probably under 20 years old right now has no problem learning how to set up a wallet and back up your private keys and your seed phrase. It's the older people, I think, that are going to be using the more bank custody and these things like this, but they want to get involved in it as well. And I think that it's not a bad thing that we give them whatever kind of infrastructure they need, even if it's the antithesis of true crypto and you know, things like that.
From one side, we see on the macro level, the institutional investors are joining the crypto effort. But what I see from my, you know, micro perspective is that people around me start getting really curious about blockchains, and I'm for the few last weeks, I'm continuously explaining, giving like almost private lessons to people who came from totally different backgrounds, non-technical backgrounds, and they are eager to learn about it, not from the trading experience as for early adopters, but from a regular consumer experience. And I find this turning moment in history very, very significant. It's where actually the regular people start to ask, you know, like, and not like very young people, let's say, I don't know, from 30 to 60 years old people, they start to say, okay, so what can I do with the crypto money? How can I join the digital realm? How simple is to open the wallet? How simple is to trade? And this is a turning point in history where where everything is opening up from the early adopters to the regular customers.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know about that. You know, I'm always at the perspective where I think, you know, everything I look at that is successful, like let's take the iPhone or the internet or Airbnb, you know, like applications run on the internet, you know, nothing is so successful because people have to, you know, put a lot of thought in how stuff works, they can just use it without, because it's self-explanatory, right? So I think this is, everybody's talking about customer education. Yeah, okay. But, if you have to educate the customer, usually you will not get far with your company. That at least I think that can be seen in the real economy world out there, right? And another thing, because you mentioned, everything is changing. Yes, but on the other hand, it's like, it's not even intentionally of a big corporation. I mean, I've worked as a innovation consultant for a lot of German big banks and other, big companies. It's rather super difficult once you have created all your business processes on old tech stacks, and obviously in Europe it mostly is run on old SAP systems from the 80s, right? You just cannot just, get rid of it and install a new Windows on 10,000 computers.
Someone will need to, to do it sooner or later. I mean, to take like into example some Thailand banks and the Thailand banking applications that work big time, and they are super user friendly.
Yeah.
So
it can have profits, but a lot of companies are just, some of them are doing it great and doing a great job, but obviously it's absolutely non-trivial. It's very complicated to do it. A few companies are doing it great. Most companies are really do suck in it. And at the same time, in Lightspeed, we come up with blockchain technology and blockchain solutions, right? My perspective is always, sometimes it's way better to completely redesign your business case, your business model around new technologies available than, trying to always build up. For me, it's always like, it's like you have like a nice little bungalow on the beach, right? It's like a wooden nice house, right? And now you want to build a skyscraper. So, it will not work if you just put it on top of the wooden house, right?
Right.
Most probably you have to tear down the wooden house first.
You need the foundation.
To build that and
it's
have
not
a foundation.
necessarily a skyscraper. It can be a totally different bungalow.
Or a totally different bungalow. Yeah.
Made of glass, for example, with a colorful roof of color LEDs.
Exactly. But on the one side, these massively new innovative companies coming from the blockchain, yet they're not overtaking all the big players in the industry. But from the industry side, they kind of innovate, but actually not too fast, right? So they're but we don't know what's happening. We don't know if like these little players suddenly become the big players, or if the big players just eat them up in what way. I mean, we see with IBM just registering like a lot of blockchain patents, or Alibaba, right? What another business strategy is just to get them out, right?
Yeah,
I think have the patents.
I think on that note, there's these centralized companies can adopt blockchain all they want to, blockchain being it, and that will make them more efficient as a company. But ideally, I think as we evolve in open public blockchain that's decentralized, they ultimately, as we become more efficient, as we build better infrastructure, as we build better solutions, inevitably, people will choose the decentralized version because it is a better value, because it is far more efficient than any centralized type of entity, at least when it comes to value. And if you could run something like Dash, where you have a decentralized protocol with a somewhat of a traditional hierarchical kind of managing membership, where you can still get shit done, but at the same time, you have the most value creation possible within that ecosystem, I think that will surpass any type of centralized entity that is trying to innovate and adopt blockchain. Because blockchain in your business, it might be a more efficient way to, track something. It might increase profits at the end of the day, but you still have those profits going out to shareholders, and a decentralized system is going to be far more efficient than a centralized system any day of the week.
Right. I think that basically the blockchain is secondary, and decentralized approach is what really makes it great. Because if blockchain is just a ledger, blockchain is just a distributed ledger, but when you really put all the decentralized cubes all together into play, then you basically getting you're inventing a new platform, which is a solid base for innovation. It's not that you need to apply to Alibaba to build a product on top of Alibaba blockchain, right? But you can easily do it by yourself to build a product on top of soon on a Beam blockchain or Dash or Bitcoin or Ethereum. And this kind of innovation, which is not top down, it's bottom up. It's a phenomenon of this decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're gonna start wrapping it up here. But for Dash, we have one hell of an innovation when it comes to payments. There's nothing like it out there right now, and it sounds like with Evolution launching, it is going to be the blockchain used for payments all over the world. You guys already have significant adoption, far more than anybody else. First mover advantage. I really, really love the fact that you guys kind of initiated and led the way with the DAO. We are following suit with House of DAO, decentralized, co-working, co-living blockchain village, incubation kind of thing. But we have the name DAO in it because I am a huge believer in DAOs, and actually the inspiration was from Dash. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. And then we have Beam, which is getting into DeFi, which is focused on privacy, which, as we know from today, it is probably one of the most important things to have a privacy protecting or confidentiality type of infrastructure where we all get to, be private yet almost transparent in a way where we could still have, transparency yet protect our privacy. So thank you guys so much for coming in. I appreciate it, and both best of luck to your projects, and I'll be seeing you around.
Thanks for having us, Kyle.
Thanks a lot.
Great to be here.
Yeah.
Bye bye, guys.
In Copenhagen, Thailand.